Dover House. This has been for those of you who haven't been here before, it's been the home of the Scotland office since 1885, I'm told. And as I see our fellow friends from the Scottish National Party here this evening, I just want to tell them it's going to be our home for a long, long time. Hold your breath. So this is great to be back to normal. Great to be having a reception again here. You're all very welcome. Tonight kickstarts the Scottish Poppy Appeal, as you know. 3 million poppies in Strickland Street, handmade by veterans. It's the 100th anniversary of the first appeal, which was in 1921. And back then, they sold out very quickly, and they raised £106,000. And I looked at that figure, and sort of Mars bar value in terms of what £106,000 is today, and it's £5.3 million today.
Spare change to you, Alister.
Well, exactly. I didn't see you, but then you would have gone down that road. It was an awful lot of money, £5.3 million. But of course, that would be a UK-wide poppy appeal, so I barnetised it, and it's about £500,000. And all I say is the 2021 appeal will probably raise in Scotland about the Scottish poppy appeal will probably raise about £2 million, and that just shows how much Scotland cares for her veterans and how people are late, in real terms. It's also the centenary, not surprisingly, of the Royal British Legion, and my wife and I were very honoured to be asked to Westminster Abbey last Tuesday. We went for the centenary service. It was fantastic. In the 2.5 years I've been doing this job, that was by a country mile the best thing that I've done. And it was just a wonderful service. And many people got up and gave testimonials as to how the Legion had looked after them, whether it was through illness, mental or physical or financial benevolence. It was a fantastic testimony to the Royal British Legion and to the Poppy Appeal, which is why, I think the Royal British Legion and the Scottish Poppy Appeal are just unparalleled in what they do for veteran support. Look, I've seen the chairman's speech, so I will, which is in very small type and quite lots of more. I will probably not say too much more other than to say, look, thank you for all your support. Get the message out there, dig deep, and ladies and gentlemen, I'll now hand over to Jason Coward, no jokes, the chairman of Scotland Poppy Sponsor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you I won't take too long. It's too good an opportunity when we have you all in one room to say a few words. So, Secretary of State, my sincere thanks for your warm welcome and for once again hosting the Scottish Poppy Appeal reception here at the Falklands. Although this marks my second reception as Chairman of Poppy Scotland, it's actually the first one in the flesh. And I must say it's wonderful, and I'm sure you all agree, to see the normality returning after last year's virtual event. There's no escaping the fact that it's been a difficult year for Poppy Scotland and, more importantly, for our armed forces community. Many of the issues that are acutely felt by our beneficiaries, such as loneliness and isolation, were heightened by the pandemic. Some recent trends were accelerated, and new issues have also begun to emerge. This time last year, we were entering uncharted territory. Whilst we were confident in the contingency plans we had in place, we also knew that many of the activities for which the Scottish Poppy Appeal is so synonymous were simply not possible. The response from our staff, our volunteers and the wider Scottish public was incredible. New digital giving platforms enabled us to attract donations in a way previously impossible. Despite the restrictions, people went the extra mile in their support, whether donating online, displaying poppies in their windows, or ensuring poppies were still widely available in both shops and schools. However, traditional cash donations to the 2020 appeal fell by 28%, compounding the reduction we'd seen in our non-appeal fundraising income. Despite this, Poppy Scotland's vital, life-changing support has continued uninterrupted throughout. While some of our face-to-face services were obviously paused, they were replaced by other means. Our welfare team made more than 9,000 proactive calls to our most vulnerable veterans. Our popular drop-in groups continued virtually, and our new digital access grant helped to keep people connected. I mentioned earlier that the pandemic has accelerated some of the trends we'd already been monitoring, and other trends have emerged. As a result, we've been examining how to reshape our welfare delivery model to meet the changing needs of our armed forces community in the years ahead. This, of course, has not been an easy process, and as you may know, it involved the very difficult decision to close our welfare centres in Inverness and Ayrshire, along with Royal British Legion pop-in centres and area offices across the rest of the UK. Our staff there remain in place, doing the same amazing work on the ground as ever, and together with the RBL, we have committed up to an additional £14 million in services over the coming 3 years. Money no longer being spent on property has been reinvested in our direct welfare delivery. Change, of course, is never easy, but a key reason why we're able to mark 100 years of the Poppy in 2021 is the charity's ability to adapt our services and our model to the changing needs of those we support. While we are sensitive to the impact change has on our beneficiaries and partners, there's no doubt that our service provision will be more effective and efficient as a result. The past year has seen a number of successes in our campaigning work, and I'd like to thank those of you who helped to achieve this. A question on military service has been added to the census, which takes place in Scotland in 2022. The significance of this cannot be overstated. In January, we launched our first ever manifesto ahead of the 2021 Scottish parliamentary elections, and we're gaining support for a number of our policy asks. Work remains to be done on our campaign to abolish high visa fees for Commonwealth and overseas military personnel seeking leave to remain in the UK after service, and your continued support for our Stop the Service Charge campaign is greatly appreciated. And finally, we are working tirelessly with the Royal British Legion to see further amendments made to the Armed Forces Bill. We welcome the bill and its intent to further enshrine the principles of the Armed Forces Covenant in law, but we believe the bill could and should go further. The bill as introduced largely applies only to local government and some education and health bodies, meaning national policies developed in Scotland will not be subject to the duty of due regard, as will be the case at the local level. The scope of the bill is also limited to specified functions in housing, education and healthcare. While these are undoubtedly critical issues for the armed forces community, there are other topics of high importance that would benefit from additional legal protection of a due regard duty. These include employment, pensions, compensation, social care, criminal justice and immigration. We urge those MPs in the room to seize this rare opportunity to deliver on the promise of the Covenant. Such a move would attract widespread consensus and be a fitting recognition of the ongoing service and sacrifice of our brave men and women and the families who support them. A further important update I wanted to share with you is around the redevelopment of the Ladyhaig Poppy Factory in Edinburgh. Work began in 2018 and has obviously been delayed by both the pandemic and the availability of building materials. But immediately following this year's Poppy appeal, the team of disabled veterans will move back into a significantly upgraded factory site. In addition, the factory will also soon boast a vastly enhanced learning offering, where we expect to welcome thousands of individuals, schools and group visitors to explore the evolution of the poppy, to meet its makers, and to understand the life-changing support the poppy still provides today. The new learning experience will support the excellent work being done via our mobile learning classroom, Bud, which we are delighted is once again travelling the length and breadth of Scotland. I would like to extend an open invitation to anyone who'd like to visit the factory once our new tours programme launches early next year. But I'd like to finish on a more immediate matter than the 2021 Scottish Poppy Appeal. 100 years on, and the poppy remains as relevant and important as ever. Indeed, this year is arguably our most important ever appeal, as we look to recover from the impact of the pandemic. Our volunteers are desperate to get back out again, and we hope to build further on the new digital platforms that we introduced last year. Your support is critical in helping us to deliver a fitting centenary appeal. I would urge you to lead by example in your support for the 2021 appeal. Please tweet your support using the hashtag Poppy100 and share our extensive social media content with your followers. Please highlight the importance of this year's appeal through your local newspaper columns, and if you can spare the time, we would be delighted to get you involved in a local property collection if you had an hour or two to lend in the coming weeks. Please also continue to support our campaigning work, particularly around the Armed Forces Bill. We have several members of our public affairs team here tonight if you'd like to discuss this or any of our campaigns in more detail. So thank you again, Secretary of State, for your generous hospitality. Thank you all for joining us this evening and for listening to me. And let me finish by introducing a short video which highlights why we do what we do. Thank you very much and enjoy your evening.
I had a house, landlord decided to sell it, so that was me on the street. I was on the street for 6 months, sleeping off, still working. Sometimes I had to stay at my work, get washed and shaved and work away. Still couldn't adjust. And then I had a mental breakdown. Poppy Scotland made a big change to my life when I went there. They gave me a job, which I love now. My dog's allowed to come to work with me because he's a therapy dog. Helped me get a house. And it really totally changed my life. Gave me working with guys in the army again, getting that brotherhood going. Doing a lot of things for Poppy Scotland. Like I do all the garden stuff, the garden remembrance. And it's an honour to do that. And really, without Poppy Scotland, I wouldn't be here. I'd be in a box.
When I was out in Belize, I was on tour with 9 Squadron. We were out at some point, it was an operational tour. I got shot a couple of times by a drugs gang. I got shot through the left leg. I went down, hit the floor, and they stood over the top of me, shot me in the back, and I had a bullet in my heart for 3 months after that, until they operated and removed it, cut out my heart basically. The help for Poppy Scotland made a huge impact. It actually helped. So it's changed my life, getting to know the team that are the backup, the backbone behind Poppy Scotland, that reach out to so many different people. Without their help, who knows? It's had a huge impact, and a good impact, which I think is important.
Yes, I joined the army at a young age. I enjoyed that because it's comradeship. I've been a bit of lads playing rugby. What I enjoyed the most, just how I laugh, just being mates. What I liked about the army was when a job got tested, the job got done. It was there at the end, finished. Probably got me a big help. I think I'd struggle a little bit with the financial side of getting my OG gun machine because it's helped me walk, basically, get moving, be happy, live my life.
I've faced many challenges since returning to Civvy Street, but probably the most important one was my mental health, my mental state, the way I was engaging with people. I started to retreat in an enclosed environment away from people and then keep myself to myself, which affected my mental health further. Since Poppy Scotland came into my life, they've helped me, given me that support network and everything that was missing. Helped me get the financial assistance I needed for my first move out of social isolation caused by mental health issues. Helped support my family, helped bring my family closer together. Since I got the diagnosis for PTSD in 2011, as I say, they've covered various stages, and at each stage in my recovery, they've been there, and I've come back bigger and stronger to the person you see today. I haven't recovered fully, but I'm 100% better than I used to be, all through their work. Every penny they raise nationally goes for guys like me